hold up.
I guess if they want to talk about it, they can.
Up here. You should talk about it up here.
Yeah, yeah, we can.
Yeah. No, he just wants to talk. He wants to put some public input in there, so he's gonna do it right here. Gail is.
Understandable.
Hi, how are you?
Up here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead. How are you? Good, how are you? I got that one lined up for you. I know. You're welcome.
Little table that you built. You think we can get that? No, the way it breaks on it. We don't need it anymore.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Let's take a moment to pray. Our Lord and Father, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. Father, we thank you for all the blessings that you give us. Father, I humbly ask you that as the city council meets tonight, that you would bless them, that you would give them wisdom as they discharge the city's business. Father, I lift up the city employees as they go about their business through the course of the week. Father, I pray that you keep them safe. And Father, as the snow comes, Father, I pray that you would keep everyone vigilant as they remove the snow. Father, keep the people that are driving past observant. And Father, I pray that this winter would come and go and there would be no serious injuries. And Father, your will be done and all that is done here tonight. And may your Son's name be glorified. And in his name I pray. Amen.
Is this the old building?
I was trying to think what they
Let's
said.
put the doors out, and put some of this stuff out there, and right now we can't lie. Brought everything.
We'll call the meeting to order and begin with the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On agenda, number one, she is not going to be here, so we'll take that off the agenda. is there, seeing there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed, as amended.
So moved.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as printed, or as amended. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Approval of the minutes, found on pages 1 through 3. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as printed.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as printed. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Public input. Is there anybody got anything they want to talk about? Public input that's not on the agenda.
Want me to go first? I know, quick. Hello, I just wanted to invite everyone to Miller Day at the Capitol. That is Thursday, February 17th. And if you need a ride or would like to ride with us, just let myself or Megan know, just call us at the office. It's Thursday, February 17th. We're gonna meet with our senators, representatives. We usually have lunch, attend a couple meetings, take a picture, that type of thing, so we'd love to have some city representation there. I think the mayor talked about going, but anybody else that wants to go, let me know, okay? That goes for all of you too. Mark your calendars, Ron.
Say Keisha, can you double check, or even Gail, can you double check that that mic is on? I forgot to turn it on.
Well, I wanna talk about this proposed bike path.
Nobody check.
It's, 6 feet wide, is that what I'm understanding? But I just can't, I really can't get behind it, because I just think it's gonna put a lot of, the property owners, for one thing, weren't contacted. I guess they had gotten maybe a flyer in the mailbox, but if they were gonna do a project like this, I would think they would have sent certified letters, so you know that each property owner knew what was going on. That way they couldn't say, well, I didn't know about it. But, and then with the snow removal, I mean, that's gonna be a pretty big job, like for my niece. I mean, it'd be pretty hard for her to shovel that by hand. And by the what we call the horseshoe, does the city own the property in between there? So the city's gonna clean the snow in that one little section, but not the rest? You know, I mean, those are just things I'm pointing out. And another thing is, I mean, Fifth Street's a busy street. I mean, you got trucks and deliveries into the nursing home. And I imagine if there's a ambulance call, that's probably most likely the route they're always going, because it's the shortest distance. But I'd just like you to, you know, think this out a little bit more before you decide 100%. And maybe if you're gonna go with it, maybe you might have to go to Sixth Street, where, I mean, there's not much traffic on Sixth Street. And, you know, I mean, and they're still gonna have to are you gonna put four-way stops at all three of those intersections? Just, you know, I mean, no matter where you do it, you're still gonna have to get the traffic to stop. So I just want you to take that into consideration, and instead of okaying it tonight and stuff, I'd like to see you, you know, let's think it over a little bit better. And just see who all it's gonna affect, cause my understanding, as you get up to Taylor Groves, is you're gonna jump the street on Janice Cricks. I don't know, I haven't seen the plan, but that's what I've been told. So that doesn't make really much sense either, then you're jumping another street, so. And if the school responsible for paying for some of this, I understood that too, but I don't know, now they probably aren't gonna have much to contribute. So, yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks
you.
for coming, Gail. Has anybody else got anything for public input?
So have they approved the bike path, or is that something you guys are just working on?
What's that?
Have they approved putting in a bike path, or is that something you guys are just working on?
Well, we haven't signed for it, yep.
You haven't signed for it yet, it's just something you're investigating?
It's my understanding that this was in the works how many years ago?
Yeah. It's been in the works for a while, but I didn't know.
Where,
They received a grant from DOT for
Okay.
80% of the project.
So it's something that you guys are moving forward on, is that what I'm understanding with him, with his concerns?
did we already accept the grant?
Yes. We've already accepted the grant. We've had several meetings at the Economic Development Office. We had the DOT here. We walked the path 3 or 4 times that I'm aware of.
Okay,
So-
don't wanna interrupt, but you walked the path, how come the property owners weren't involved in this, I'd have thought?
Well, they were.
They were?
Yeah.
I don't believe,
How were we notified? Cause I never once received anything. I received a flyer in my mailbox, just thrown in there one time. Never received any like mail letter of any kind or anything.
The flyer in the mailbox was for the informational meetings that we had 2 here. The path was supposed to go on the other side of
that's
the
what I'm,
street.
that's what I'm saying, but people affected along the route should have been sent, certified letters, so then they wouldn't be able to say, well, I didn't know
Right.
about it. And
We went door to door and the people that weren't home, if we would've sent a letter, it would've taken
And
longer,
that's what
so.
I'm getting back at, Keisha, is that's not the way to do it.
I agree.
That's the wrong way to do it,
timeline,
because
I
when,
know,
if someone's gonna do something by your property, you'd like to know.
I agree completely. And that's why we put the letter in the mailbox, cause if we would've mailed the letter, it would've taken longer. And
Well,
the timeline of the meetings and when we walked the path was really,
well,
really tight.
that's what you call poor planning, if it would've been planned right when path was gonna be walked. that's why I'm asking to
I-
reconsider and kinda look this over a little closer, cause it looks like there was a lot of hasty decisions made. Is what I'm getting at. So, thank you.
Is there anything else for public input? If not, we'll go to the department head reports, which are found on pages 4 through 6. No, they're found on page 4. No. We'll start on 4. Is there any questions about the department head reports?
I have something to add, Mr. Mayor Blatchard. All of our, we purchased our body cameras here, and all the officers are wearing them now, and they work great. I think they're a good product. I wish we could have got them maybe a year ago or so, wish we would have. All I can say is that it was kind of frustrating for me for a while on the process of getting them, and I let it show in a meeting a while back, and I apologize for letting that show. So I just wanted to let you folks know that. Thank you.
Do you have is the policy written yet for them?
They're reviewing it.
They're reviewing it,
Yes.
okay.
Is there anything else on the department head reports? You got anything, Cindy?
Nothing else, nothing more than what's already written on the report, other than the district meeting, but that's already number 5 on the agenda, so we'll get to that.
Okay, is there any questions about the department heads? Okay, we're gonna go right down the list now. We're gonna go to number 1, which is the second reading of ordinance number 730. Found on page 7. Ordinance number 730, an ordinance amending sections 38 and 37 and 38-363 of the ordinance of the city of Miller. Be it ordained by the city of Miller, South Dakota, that Article 2, Section 38-37 and Article 4, Section 38-363 are hereby amended to read as follows. Article 2, Section 38-37 and Article 4, Section 38-363 payment due date. All consumer bills shall be due the 15th of the following month and shall become delinquent on the 16th day of that same month. All delinquent consumer bills shall be assessed a 5% penalty on the unpaid balance. This ordinance should be in full force and effect so as to commence and include all electrical and water billings due in the month of March 2022. This is the first reading.
The second reading.
Or this is the second one. Okay, this is the second reading. Now, we don't have to read the first one. So, I entertain a motion to either approve or reject the second reading of ordinance number 730.
Make a motion, we approve ordinance number 7.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the second reading of ordinance number 730. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll have to vote by roll call. And I'm gonna start with Alderman Schwartz,
Aye.
Alderman Odegaard,
Aye.
Alderman Zeller,
Aye.
Alderman Rangel,
Aye.
Alderwoman Lichty,
Aye.
Alderman Steers.
Aye.
Hearing 6 ayes and no nays. The motion carries by unanimous ballot. Motion carried. Now we're gonna go to number 2 because Nancy Froning is not going to be here, so, and that's a flood study update. Well, I'll start this. We had a meeting here Thursday with the engineers, and it was decided after we went through several scenarios to do this, clean the channel out in this creek down here with local forces. And I believe they started today, and I think Tony was down there, weren't you?
Yeah. I went down there, Ron could probably fill you in, because Ron, the electric crew, the city workers went down and started taking trees out. But just a little bit on what the engineers said. They came up with an alternative, number 2, was to clean and regrade the creek. And it was to remove the trees and excess. To remove the trees and excess vegetation, and adds backflow restrictions to eliminate flow towards city. And the proposed improvements will decrease flooding, and the cost is $600,000 to do it. that's their proposal, to clean it out, that's hiring somebody to come in and then regrade the creek and everything. So at that price, we had, some of the members from the commissioners were here, some from the township, and it was decided that we would just work with the county, and the city and county would work together, go in and clean the creek, remove the trees that needed to be taken out, burn all the vegetation underneath there, and grade it so the flow would come through, which according to the engineers too, if we do most of that, it's gonna take care of the flooding problem that goes down. And some of the culverts need to be cleaned out. They had vegetation in them and mud too, with it. Ron, some mud stuff in there.
I guess, I have not looked at them.
Okay, well, anyway, that's one of the things they mentioned was the culvert should be cleaned out and everything too. But, it seemed like a lot of money when I think the city crews can do it. And Ron and the electric department, and there's a lot of, everybody was out there starting on the trees. And I drove out there to take a look. I never realized how much vegetation's in there. And they started back where the trees aren't the thickest. I can about imagine once they get up there. But they have to get approval from the railroad yet to get into the ditch, is that correct?
Well, within 50 feet of the main line, then we have to call them, and they call in a warrant and have a flagger available. So we're gonna do everything away from that, and then when we get everything taken care of, and we're gonna be within that area, we're gonna call them and just try to affect the railroad like a couple times for the burn and for the cleanup.
And so then exactly what responsibility would the railroad have? None?
They have to stop, but they have to be there within a certain footage of the rail. They have to be
To
there.
make sure you don't wreck something?
No,
I
so
mean-
we don't get run over by a train. Be honest with you, that's
Okay.
kinda what it is.
Okay,
They don't have turn signals on them. so-
yeah, okay.
But that's why we're gonna try to do what we can outside of that area,
And then
so
have
that
them-
when we do need to get in there, we'll call them and just try to bother them less than we're having them there for 5 days. We'll try to have them there for a day.
Okay, so Ron, you've been out there and you think that's
We've
something
cut
that
it- we've
the
already
city and
taken-
the county can do?
As far as the trees and vegetation, once it's burnt, we'll be able to see more what we got. There's so much. I was on the skid steer and I drove over a log that was that big and didn't know it was there. It was laying, I mean, it's that bad. So,
Okay, so then my question is, we do all this work and we get it all cleaned up. Is there gonna be some kind of contingency plan with the county and the city to,
Maintain it.
yeah,
So that came up the other day as well at this meeting. And I'm just gonna back up just for a minute to say that this is what we talked about at the meeting.
Right.
The council needs to agree with everything that
Right.
we talked about that day. But this particular plan, working with the county, looks like the very best thing that we can come up, by far the cheapest. Yes, the county said that they will plan on going in through the course of the summer when this is all done with they have big batwing mowers to go down and keep that vegetation mowed down. And that this will be an ongoing thing, and we all know that it needs to be an ongoing thing, keep the trees, keep the vegetation down. Hopefully somewhere along the line, when Ron is done with his cleanup, and the county helping out, there are gonna be some regrading done to the creek. Some of the high spots taken out and kind of flatten that out a little bit and make the flow a whole lot better, but yeah, that will be the plan, will be to follow up and do maintenance down there, so.
yeah. Well, because that's my concern, you know. We don't wanna have to pay $600,000 and then and if the guys do all this work on it and get it all cleaned up, and it's okay for a year or two, but if we don't keep it up,
Yeah.
you know, cause we've lived in our place for 45 years. So I'm guessing it took 45 years for it to get this way, but we need to do something to keep it. You know, it's only been the last 20 years, well, since 2011.
2011
10, I guess.
year we flooded.
So 10 years where we really, really got flooded. And
so if we don't keep it
it's-
up,
I just kind of, and granted, I'm driving on reeds and whatnot, I wonder if we had some silt kind of get into an area, cause when you can feel it on the Bobcat, and I'm wondering if that was maybe some of the problem.
it could be,
Um,
but I just.
There are trees laid in there and you don't even know they're there, so that's part of it too. But we're cutting anything that can affect that area, so we don't have to babysit, because Lord knows we got a land, and then back in 2 years from now, there's another one will fall in there, so we're just getting them.
Are they gonna redirect that creek then, where it goes underneath the drive-in road? It goes over to, goes under the road
I
twice.
think that was gonna stay the same, wasn't it? Still going through those
Yeah,
So
culverts.
they're really not gonna do anything on that part.
The cost going under the railroad is huge, huge. To bore underneath there.
So actually, it's not gonna, hopefully, if you clean the creek out and speed it up, but
Yeah, we had Arlen
when you got three restrictions right there in a row,
Mhm.
you know? And the culverts evidently are not gonna get any bigger. And
There
you're
is
gonna
a,
have more water flow through there all the time because of the vegetation getting taken away further to the south.
there is a bunch of bushes and trees on by Eddie Stobbs's, behind where his house is, and it's right in line with the pipe, so we think if we can get that out there, that'll help it, just that alone, I think.
Plus, there's an approach built back there.
Yeah, further back.
That was stopping
further back,
some of the
somebody
water.
Built an approach that's like 2 feet, 3 feet higher than it should be. So it builds up rather than running out of there the whole time, it's building up before it can run out of there. Who knows who put it there, it's been there a while. Cause I mean, it's grass and it's been that way for a while, so.
The good news is the county is all in on this with us. They wanna help out. We're not really concerned. We're gonna do this for a fraction of the $600,000 that number came from if we had to hire this all done, if we were gonna hire
Yeah,
every bit of it done. And so the one thing that we all need to know and the city, or the county has said that this is our project and they will assist with it, but the city needs to be, this is the city project with the county assisting. That's how they want to look at this. That doesn't really change anything. That's just their legalities that they wanna go by. So the city will assume responsibility for the project. We have checked with our city, what am I trying to say, insurance guy, or South Dakota Public Assurance. He said, no problem, we are covered, we're good to go on all of this stuff. You guys can do whatever it is you do. As it turns out, you guys have the authority to go virtually anywhere as you're working for the city and do work, and you're covered under our insurance, the city's insurance. So, yeah, they're just willing to come down and do whatever needs to be done. Arlen, I just got this tonight, has been, he's got, whoever is a step over him in this fire business is gonna be here maybe tomorrow.
He was here
something like-
today.
He was here today already, all right. And so they're moving quickly on that. They plan on burning a small portion, by small, I don't know what that means. If it's gonna be,
Originally, on the phone, they thought they could do 3 different controlled burns.
and get
Get
it all
it.
done.
But there's an area behind Stobbs's they're a little concerned with that may not get burnt, but if we can burn 60% of it, that's a lot of material that we don't have to worry about.
Was the county in there today already mowing a fire break?
He talked about that and, with Arlen and this Pete from Brookings.
Okay.
And he already knows about it, I don't know when it's gonna get done. Wind isn't gonna be good to them tomorrow, don't sound good.
Right.
It's tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, I think there's wind and maybe even a little bit Thursday. As soon as the wind is around 10 miles an hour or less, they wanna burn.
do you remember this was South Dakota?
Yes.
Okay.
See, can't grow it blows out.
Well, from our point of view, we are very glad that something is starting to move on this. So we appreciate what you guys can do, and
I guess, we'll just wait and see if we flood again, I guess, I don't know. I suppose that's the only way you're gonna tell if it really worked.
We only had basically a half a day, cause we had other things in the morning to do. We got there about 1:30, we started knocking trees down and we had one area, just that alone was gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not gonna flood, but what we did, it was all across the one area that filled with water. And it was stuff laid down, like I say, it was logs this big that I drove over because I didn't know they were there. And there was that much vegetation, so I got that cleaned up. I'm hoping by Wednesday, most of that stuff will be out of it.
No.
And the good news is we've got a couple of weeks of good weather, it's dry, these guys can go and go to work, they're not fighting snow or mud.
And
And
it's
so-
not like we're gonna get a lot of rain here.
We need it, I hate
I know.
to say it, but we
I
do,
know we do need it,
but
but-
it's a necessary evil, unfortunately, for what we're dealing with.
So do we need to vote for the whole council to approve this plan, Ron, or how is that? I mean, all we did was listen to
I
Camden
think what we
present the
need
other
to
day.
do is have a motion that we accept, or that we're in charge of the project for like the county wants us to be in charge of it. And I think that's what we need to do.
I'll make the motion, then we go ahead and do that. Just get it going. Move along. It's gonna have to be, according to the engineers, it's gonna have to have a little regrade on the creek too.
Yeah.
So they said that they would come in, be more than glad to come in and stake it, so we knew what the grade had to be. So that'll help, because there's not much of a drop going down there.
Yeah, I don't remember what they said, it's flat.
It's flat. So if they can regrade, maybe they can get a little bit more flow going out of it too, so that'll help.
But would they regrade, Ron, or would you, your department regrade?
We'll just, I think we'll just have to, when we get everything working, we see what we got, it'd be easier to decide how to deal with that. We do have a backhoe, but it is a backhoe, not a track hoe. So, I mean, you can get it done, but I just don't know how much, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So, I guess there's a few spots where it kinda climbs up and goes back down, so.
Yep. Okay, we have a motion. I think we got a second, don't we? A motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second that the city will authorize this flood plan to clear the channel on this creek. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Number 3 is repair doors at the building of the city dump.
So this is my coming to ask for permission. There's a building sitting out there to the city dump. I currently store some of my electrical parts in there. It's not real secure. The doors that are on it right now, I can't slide the one, and the other one has fell off and rotted off. Fell and been on the ground and rotted. I basically would like to ask for permission to, it's just framing and some tin basically. Get some new doors built and put back on it so I can secure what I'm trying to put in there. I did speak with Ron and he was okay with me using it. Technically, I believe the street department's building, but they don't use it anymore, so looking about 2,500 is what I was told it'd probably take to get this fixed. So don't really want to say what I have stored in there, but that's a pretty small investment to keep it stuff secured, so.
Guess I would make a motion to allow him to buy the material for make the doors.
Okay, we have a
Well, I'd
mo-
probably hire it done, I just get it hired done or whatever, but yeah. So that's labor and everything, so.
okay, we have a motion to hire the doors repaired at the building at the old city dump. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to repair the doors at the building at the old city dump. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, guys. Gals.
Oh, next thing on the agenda is to hire a pool manager.
We have one application from Sydney Jessen.
Well, this one pool manager's application, and it's from Sydney Justin. She was the pool manager last year.
Anybody wanna see this?
I would recommend that we hire her back.
I'll make that motion that we go ahead and hire Sydney back.
Okay, we have a motion to hire Sydney Justin for the pool manager for the coming year. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to hire Sydney Justin as the pool manager for the coming year. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Number 5, change the March 21st meeting date, if that happens to fall on the district meeting night. We just wanna change that till Tuesday.
I don't think I have a problem.
Somebody wanna move then to change it to, from March 21st to March 22nd?
I guess I would make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to change the March 21st meeting date to the March 22nd due to the district meeting being on the 21st. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. The district meeting attendees, who wants to go? I don't know, when do you have to know, Cindy? You wanna know?
Deadline. Registration deadline is March 7th.
You wanna know by then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let Cindy or the office know by March, what'd you say, 7th?
Yes.
By March 7th. If you're going to attend. Number 7 is SCADA computer, found on page 9.
That computer is what runs our water and sewer system. and, it's the only one we have. We used to have two of them, one was out in the booster station, one was in here, and both of them went to heck at the same time. So they advised us to get one, and then wait a few years and then get another one. That way we always have one to run it. 'Cause last time went down, we didn't have nothing. And, anyways, the new system, the old system won't work with the new system, so the old computer, once we get the new one, would be sent back in and get refurbished and then put out in the booster station. So that's what there's two different prices there. The 35 was just for the one new one, and then the new one and the one refurbished is $57.93. And that's with all the stuff to run it.
So the second thing on here is for sending in the computer we have and having them
And,
upgrade it so you can.
and send it back, right? Plus the new one. So that way we'd have two, so if one goes down, we got one to run it.
Yeah, I got that, but, and then in a couple years, you're gonna buy another one, a new one?
Right,
To replace this refurbished.
because last time they bought them both at the same time, well, they went down like,
At the same time?
yes. And they said, don't do that again, buy one, wait a few years, get another one, and just keep doing that.
So that you always have the new one.
So you always got one that's more than likely gonna be up and running. They both don't crash at the same time. And people ask, why can't you go to Walmart and get one? Well, you can't. You gotta get,
Well, you could, but
well,
it
you
might not
could,
work.
but you gotta send it to them to get all the stuff put on. They're gonna charge you more, and it's just not worth it. So anyways, that's what the price is.
So is that in your budget or
It is. It's been in there for several years.
for several years? Okay.
And that one's 5 years old now. The one that we got now.
Now, the one that you have to have, that's not working with the system you have now, or?
It is.
It's still,
But when the new one comes and it's upgraded, the old one won't work off
yeah,
that.
okay.
So they gotta be matched. That's the way I understood it anyway.
I make a motion to approve that purchase.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this SCADA computer. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. NECOG invoice, number 8, NECOG invoice phase 3, page 9.
Ronnie will have to sign that so we can send it back.
Okay.
This is what we pay every year, is it? Northeast Council of Governments.
No, that's
No.
not our, JCA dues. This is for the phase 3 contract that all this work they've done for us for phase 3 for the wastewater and water project.
Okay, so it's work they've already completed.
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion, we pay NECOG their $10,000 for phase 3
We have a motion
contract billing.
to pay NECOG $10,000 for the work they've done on phase 3. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second.
I have a question before you vote on it. It says first and second billing. So is this for, is this all they're gonna bill you? 10,000?
I don't know.
Have we had this with all the phases? I don't
Yes.
recall seeing this bill before.
Yes,
Yeah.
let me see if I can bring up our system.
I just, because it says first and second billing, so is that for, are they gonna bill us some more, or is that the total?
I don't know what their contract is on file in the finance office for their services for these phases. So I don't know what that is.
Well, I just wondered, I seen it said first and second billing, so.
Yeah.
I hate to be stupid, so what exactly do they do for us?
They're the ones that do all the paperwork for all that stuff.
Oh, for the loans and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, paperwork, grants.
They found us millions, so.
Okay. We do loans, I mean, small business loans.
Is there any more discussion?
I can't get on. Otherwise, I'll show you that we've paid this bill before on phase 1 and 2.
Was it 10,000, the other ones too?
One of them was. I think the other one might have been less. I don't know. I don't remember without going and looking it up.
Well, I know they do an awful lot of work.
I just wondered, I'm sure it's,
So on the very next item, we're gonna get to their performance report, and we can go over what they've done for Han
Yeah,
County, and you can see it, it's unbelievable. Yeah,
that's what you should see.
yeah, it's amazing.
Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carried. NECOG performance report is number 9. And that's found on pages 10 through 24. And you got a copy of this. They do a lot of work.
Yeah, all you really gotta do is compare the return on investment for Han County compared to some of these other counties, and they're absolutely worth the money that we pay to them.
Well, I'm gonna call for a motion to approve this report. NECOG performance report. So, have we been billed for our share of this next year's?
Yeah, we've already paid the JCA dues.
We paid that?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we need a motion, Ron? I mean, they're just sending us this as information. Do we need to
Well,
approve it?
let's just call it information. Okay, number 10 is a special event liquor license for Willie's Bar and Grill for February 16th. For supper. Or is it at the community center. The check is here, and I got an insurance deal on file. So we got everything we need for the paperwork. So I would recommend that we approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license for a special event.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any, or is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed the same. Motion carried. Number 13, no, wait a minute, number 12. Community Access Grant Funding Agreement, found on page 26 through 29.
Do 11.
Are we skipping 11?
Got number 11.
Are we skipping 11?
Oh, yeah, I had a mark here that I shouldn't have had there, looked like I crossed it off. The DOT certificates for bike paths. Found on page 25. Well, we have not met with the school yet on this to find out for sure what they are going to do with the funding, which I'm pretty sure they probably won't be able to fund their portion of it. So, I'm wondering if we don't wanna table this until the next meeting. Meeting to where we can get to a school board meeting to find out, or have them on and whatever. Go and find out if they're gonna be able to do their portion of the funding for sure or not.
Do we have a deadline for this?
Hmm?
Do we have a deadline for this at all?
I don't know.
Because were they supposed to start in 22?
Well, I thought so.
So I just didn't know if we needed to, I guess I'm out of the loop on this.
Well, it says the estimated construction begins in 2022.
Because this is what they discussed like 3 years ago, or how, it's been quite a while, right? That it's been in the making.
However, we're getting different reports from the school, and we don't, I personally don't know if the whole school board's gonna go for it or not. And they were subject to putting in a portion of the engineering cost too. So it'd be nice to find out what the school board is, what they're considering, if they've all considered, if they've all had a chance to say what their thoughts are. I understand, you know, there might be I don't know if there's a date on construction or not.
I think we should just table it, as Ron said, before we really, until we know just what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and table this. I would make a motion to table this. Ron, I would make that motion to table.
Okay, we have a motion to table this till after we meet with the school board. Is there a second?
I'm gonna second it.
Have a motion and a second to table this until we meet with the school board. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor
Can I ask
say.
a question, Ron? Is that a joint meeting, like a city meeting, or what type of a meeting is that gonna be?
No,
Like a school board meeting or a city
I
meeting?
think we wanna go to the school board meeting with this and hear from them.
Okay,
And then act on this after we find out for sure.
okay.
Cause we don't know for sure, we're only just kinda hearsay, so,
So at a school board meeting?
yeah. And I'll get us on, or have Shayla get us on the agenda for a school board meeting.
And the school board meeting is to find out if they're going to give their portion.
Any more discussion?
So then, should you find out if there's a timeline for when you have to have that done, like Tammy brought up?
Well, we'll have to.
Cause maybe you'll have to ask the school board if they have to have a special meeting or something.
Well, I don't think it'll take very long if you get it decided, because the engineering is all done on it, so. Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. That's the table.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Now we'll go to community access grant. Funding agreement, found on pages 26 through 29. Now what this is a grant that's been approved to fix the street in front of the school out there, which also includes doing some, if you're using federal money, you have to abide by all the ADA regulations. So we've received a grant to do that work, and this is, we applied for it. And we can either accept or reject this grant. And where did I see it? I read it at home, but
So the total cost of that project is $574,065, is that
I
correct?
think so, that's.
And what's our grant amount? What was we,
387.
$387,700. That's what the state will reimburse the city for 80% of the project construction cost, but not more than $387,700. Then that's not to include the engineering.
And wasn't the engineering another couple $100,000?
It says the city will be 100% responsible for the engineering cost for the project. Plus the 20%.
Do you remember, Ron, what our estimates were, if we were just gonna do it, I don't know?
Not right offhand.
I think when we talked about it before, it was gonna cost less for us to do it than the engineer fees were alone.
It was the talk, you know,
But I don't know where that went from there.
is the drainage tile that we're gonna need to put in there is, we can't go real deep because of the drain, the storm drain that's there. We cannot go lower than that. Because there's no way to get rid of the water. You could have it 30 feet deep, it could be full of water, but it's only gonna drain once it gets to the height of the storm pipe there, so. We know that that's an issue. It's just soup there. We put fabric in it, and it's, the year we put fabric in there, it was so hard they couldn't cut the gravel. 2 years later, the frost came out, we got a really nice wet snow, and it just, that road was terrible. So that's why we wanna put the the drain tile in there to help alleviate some of that groundwater. Get that out of there.
But we would do that with or without this grant.
Well, yeah, if we get the grant, I mean, we can use our equipment to do that.
Can you get the grant without the engineer?
No,
Since we've been awarded the grant, can we accept, or can we, I mean, without knowing, are we money ahead to accept it or to do it on our own? And, I mean, I think that's obviously the big question everybody's thinking.
Again, is there a deadline for this?
What's that now?
Do we have to know, like, does this have to be decided tonight, or, like, is there a deadline coming up that anybody knows of?
Well, I don't know when the deadline to sign it is.
Well, the thing has to be completed by 2024, April 1st.
so we have lots of time.
Are you,
Is that to accept the grant, though? Do we have that much
To be
time?
completed.
if we accept the grant?
Project.
There's gonna be a lot of asphalt on that street. It's a wide street and it's calling for 3 inches or something like that, 3 or 4 inches. I don't recall because of the bus traffic. Right, right. That's what it is.
It just says in here, Tammy, the agreement will become effective on the date it's fully signed, and the city will complete the work by this agreement no later than April 1st, 2024. So the minute we sign it, it goes into effect. It doesn't have to be completed until 24.
You go down to number 5 and it says either party may terminate this agreement by giving 30 days notice.
Do you remember the numbers, Jeff, that we talked about back when?
I wasn't here that night, the night you voted on this. I know,
We honestly didn't think we were gonna get the grant, and so we kinda had a contingency plan in mind.
I was thinking it was around 300,000, but I don't remember.
Can we table this for tonight too, until we get? What do you think, Ron? Do we need them involved, or are we better to do it on our own? Can you do all the work that's required?
Well, I think with other departments, if we can get together, I think we can do it. I don't know, I don't recall what the engineering is gonna be.
Yeah, I don't remember right now.
That's where I'm at there.
I think,
I know a lot of the gravel base course I got now was gonna go there.
Did Lee Cobb assist you with that grant writing for this one?
Yes.
It might be beneficial to reach out to Ted Dickey and ask his guidance. If he wrote it, he might have the idea of costs too. Cause he probably kept all that stuff.
And we would have that somewhere.
We got it somewhere,
We've
but
got our
you're
estimates,
asking me
but I
right
mean,
now.
But he would be able to pull it up pretty easy.
Sure, okay.
I think it'd be a good idea to get your engineering costs and find out what that is, plus what we've gotta pay for the construction part. We can, if we were to do it, we can do part of it in kind, right? We could tear it all out. I don't see that as a problem. Unless it got muddy.
I did talk to Tony Olson on one of the bigger track holes they have, with 5 blocks of digging, cause there's one, like a block of water main, right? And 4 blocks of drain tile. He says you can rent one of them bigger track holes for $10,000 to $12,000 a month. With that, you can also dig out all of the road top and not be driving on it, cause that's the worst thing, you start driving on it and get that pumping, that's the problem. You start taking the loader, you start driving over it, it just grows. We found that out on the parking lot. It stinks like manure when you get in there. So it's nasty material underneath that road.
Well, then we could just pretend we're farming, right?
Smell just like that, really.
I thought we came up with
We
a price.
probably should, yeah.
What's that?
I thought every time we came up with one, the city did it, what was it gonna cost?
I thought so too, because the engineer fees, I thought were like $200,000.
I think we need a refresher course.
Yes, that's been a while ago.
Yeah.
Let's put it on the next agenda. I don't wanna let it go too long, but we just slip it on the next agenda, it's only 2 weeks, so. I'm gonna make a motion to table this till our next meeting. We get
Okay, we have a
more
motion
information back. Refresh our memories on this.
to table the community access grant until the next meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table the community access grant funding agreement until the next meeting. Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Communicate code update found on page 30.
So we update our code book every year. This is the total estimate on the high side to get all of our green code of ordinances books updated.
And the total estimate is $1,849.
And this is what we've always done in the past, this.
So it's already budgeted for.
Did you move?
I'll make a motion to,
You get a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve this for the estimate is 1849. Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. City representative on the natural gas board.
I thought that was Joe already.
Well, that's what I thought too.
Weren't you the representative on the
Yeah,
gas
that's
board?
what I thought.
Yeah. So why are we going through this again?
I wouldn't know.
We have an old agenda. No.
Well, I just think we leave Joe on it.
I make a motion, we reappoint Joe to the natural gas.
I'll second that.
Have we heard anything from them lately?
What was the question?
Have we heard anything from the natural gas?
Yeah, so 5 of the 8 communities have committed. He is just, or he, Northwestern Energy is just waiting to get confirmation of who each one of those communities selects, and then they'll be moving forward with the,
Okay.
forming the nonprofit entity.
I haven't
That's
heard-
the update that I got.
Haven't heard a thing about it.
Yeah.
I thought they dropped it in the whole works.
No, that's the update that I got from Reed
Okay,
Northwestern.
thank you.
Well, do they need a motion? I thought Joe was appointed to that.
We just reappointed him again.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to reappoint Joe to the Zeller to the, with the city representing on natural gas board. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carried.
Not going to be any doubt about it, Joe.
We have Helms and Associates.
Regular reporting.
We have Helms and Associates invoices 25409 and 25422 for a total of $3,439.12. That's a pay request.
I'll make a motion, we pay Helms and Associates 25,409 and 25,422 for a total of $3,439.12.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second, motion and a second to pay Helms invoices 25409 and 25422 for a total of $3,439.12. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Number 16. SPN flood study invoices 25438 and 25440 for a total of $20,400. Found on page 32.
Now, this is all paid with a grant, correct? Or do we,
I thought the grant was only for 18,000 though. That's,
I think we got 2 grants.
I am unaware of that.
I'm pretty sure that the grants were supposed to cover all of it.
well, that's what I thought, but
Yeah.
that's why I thought the grant was only 18,000. But maybe it was more.
I think it was more.
I think there was 2 grants.
Yeah, I
There
think
was
it-
one
I
for
think
the
it came to
engineering
32,000. I
and
think there
one
were
for the-
16 and 16, if I remember right.
Okay, well, I know Shayla said it was
Yeah.
all gonna be covered, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess you can pay her.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and pay SPN for the flood study. $20,400.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
And so for anybody who wonders, they gave us, I don't know, we get 15 different alternatives of different
Yeah.
things that we could have done. So they did look into it for the money we're paying. There's quite a bunch of stuff that they came up with. Almost every one of them, they said that's not a good option, it's gonna cost way too much, whatever. But
Yeah.
there are a whole bunch of alternatives here that they gave us, and
It was to include a flood study over by the nursing home too. That was
Right.
included in that portion, because the flood's over there, so they did a big study on that too.
and made some
Some of it
recommendations.
was changing the creek too, how it flows.
Right.
He's talking about crossing that road and stuff, cutting a new path.
Yeah, they also put in a idea about a detention pond, but then you'd have to get the okay from the landowner to put the big pond in there too, and they didn't think that would.
But they did
They
give us
did
a
do the
number of
study.
alternatives
They
for
did a
that
lot.
money they were looking into.
Is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next thing on the agenda is an executive session for personnel pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, Hearing 1. I need a
Trade spot.
motion. I'll need a motion to
I'd like to go home.
go into adjourn as common council and go into a executive session.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I can second it.
Is there any discussion? If not,
She made that motion.
all
to
those,
adjourn.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. We'll go into executive session at 8:12.
I'm not staying, I'm just waiting for the system to catch up to the motion, so it's recorded.
And then it's
We got a
off.
little lag time.
Then you can shut it off.
Yes, I will shut it off.
All of these will be shut off.
Yeah, go ahead and shut your mics off. I'll make sure to get that one up there too.
Stop it.
I included this little deal if you guys